Now, I wanted to start off by helping you get to know me better, and I'm going to answer the Booktube newbie tag questions. And if any questions come up while I'm talking that you want to ask me, go ahead and put it in the comments, and I will get back with you. So, question 1, why did you start this channel? So I started this channel because I want to help you find your next favorite read and to make connections. And I want you all to feel like you belong and someone cares about you, and I want to challenge you to grow alongside me. And I think we're going to have some fun. Okay, so question 2, what are some fun and unique things that you can bring to Booktube? So I don't think people really realize how much what they read affects their mind. So in an attempt to protect mine, I don't read anything beyond low spice. It's low spice or milder. I won't touch anything like that goes against my morals. There's no skipping over for me. I would rather just enjoy the whole book instead of being on the lookout for things that will bother me, and then my hackles are raised and it's just an unenjoyable experience. It's not worth it to me. And I read mainly fantasy, but I do read occasionally sci-fi, historical fiction, and on this channel I also plan to bring up topics and ideas that will facilitate discussion and encourage opportunities for improvement, and I'm not sure very many people do that. So that'll be interesting. It'll come along much later, I would think, when I feel more comfortable with Booktube and get a sense of where I'm at, and I'll let you know. So, question 3, what are you most excited about with this new channel? I'm most excited to get to meet and talk with new people who share my interests. Question 4, why do you love reading? It allows me to escape into someone else's imagination. It's kind of a break from reality. And question 5, what book or series got you into reading? So I've been reading on and off my whole life. I had a stint from 2015 to 2016, and then most recently back in 2023, and I haven't stopped since. So as soon as one book ends, I have to pick up a new one. And the 2023 bout started with, I think, Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. It was my first, adult fantasy. It might even be young adult, I don't know, but it felt epic to me, and I was unfamiliar with Brandon. So when it started to feel a little slow, and I was wondering when we were going to get to the good stuff, that's when I was buried by this Sanderlanche. And all the details came together perfectly, and I was just so impressed by his writing, and the ending was just what I wanted, so I rated it 5 stars, and it took off from there. Now, question 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I would ask how long it took before they found their community or their people, and what advice they might offer. I know that Amanda from Book Lover Amanda made an excellent video about that, so maybe if other people answered those questions as well, just to get different perspectives, that would be helpful. And I would like to know what ideas and techniques work the best for them. Question 7, what challenges do you think starting a Booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? For me, it might be consistency and not comparing myself with others, dealing with nasty people and rejection, and slow progress. Question 8, when did you start reading? I kind of already answered that. So most recently back in 2023. Question 9, where do you read? I have a big, fat, comfy recliner in my daughter's playroom. I just sit back in that after she goes to bed, and I do chores and relax there to read to my heart's content. And then whenever I wake up in the early morning hours, because I can't fall back to sleep, I read on the couch under a blanket so as to not disturb others. And I listen to all my audiobooks while I'm at work at my desk. I work full time, So that helps me get through the day and get through more books. Question 10. What kind of books do you like to read? Like I mentioned before, I read mostly fantasy, but anything with romance will usually do the trick, so long as it's not contemporary. I'm not a contemporary anything kind of person, except for maybe a web novel, but that's really rare. Question 11. What does your book collection look like? It's a hodgepodge of whatever I could find that was a good price and was appealing at the time, and some gifts and some books that I had already read and really liked. Those are all the questions. If you have more, like I said, you can put it in the comments. And then for this part, I'm going to talk about some of my favorite books, just give a brief synopsis so you know my tastes. So to start, I've got 10,000 Stitches by Olivia Atwater. It's book 2 in a trilogy, but it's a series of standalones, Regency fairy tales. So we've got a gal who's a maid in a household, and she has a crush on one of the master's sons. And she wants to catch his eye, so she makes a deal with the Fae, and in exchange for his help, she has to stitch 10,000 stitches on his jacket. And it's a very sweet, slow burn. It's an unexpected romance, and I won't say more than that, but it's really worth a read. It's super short, so you could totally read it in a weekend if you wanted. Another of my favorites is Jane Eyre. I would think most people know what it's about, so I won't go into it, by Charlotte Bronte. I don't know if you noticed, but this is a very pretty and unique cover. This was a gift book. I wouldn't splurge on something like this. But I read this back in high school, and it was kind of dense. The language was a bit difficult for me. I had to read and reread, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the book at all. Such an excellent romance. And it's stuck with me ever since, and I like the movie with Michael Fassbender, so if I ever want to revisit the story, I don't have to spend hours upon hours to do so. I can just watch the movie, which I think is just as good, and I don't think it's a crime to say so. And then we've got The Mere Visitor. It's a 4-book series. This is actually book 4. I don't own book 1. The name of book 1 is A Winter's Promise. The author is Christelle Dabos. It was translated from French. So it's fancy. But this involves a world with what you might call countries, and the countries aren't floating. It's kind of hard to describe. I'll just let you read about it, but each of the characters has special abilities that they inherited. Our main gal, Ophelia, she can read the impressions on objects when she touches them. She also has this other special ability where she can walk through mirrors. And that's tied to this overarching intrigue throughout the course of the 4 books that we work up towards the very end trying to figure out. My favorite books were books 2 and 3. I can't remember which, but one of them has a really exciting murder mystery. It's a series of murders, and you're wondering who's done it and why. And our girl Ophelia gets caught up in it. The romance is the slowest of slow burns. You wonder while you're reading it when it's ever going to happen, if it's going to happen, but it's well worth it in the end. And it's very unusual relationship that she has. It starts off with an arranged marriage. So there's that. And then these books I don't own, but it doesn't mean I don't like them. I just never acquired a copy. I'm not one to reread. But I've really enjoyed Legendary Ing by Kate Stradling. It's a Beowulf retelling. Don't let that turn you off. Beowulf is... I read it in school. I disliked it a lot. I watched the animated movie with Angelina Jolie, and I was just like, what is this? But this book I enjoyed immensely, and the romance is so sweet. And it's a gender swap. So the main person who kills the monster is a woman, but she's dressed kind of mannish, masculine, so she's mistaken as a man. And she gets taken up by the king in an attempt to have her betrothed to his daughter. it's this whole thing. It's chaotic, but Kate has a way with weaving a story that'll keep you engaged the whole time. And that book helped me fall in love with Kate Stradling. She's such an excellent author. Another book that I really enjoyed is Sabriel by Garth Nix. It's book 1 in a series of standalones. It's the Old Kingdom series, I believe. And I think Sabriel will be the best book of the series for me always and forever. Not that the other books aren't great, but Sabriel set it off for me. It's about a woman who uses bells, the resonance of bells, to tame undead and to lead the recently deceased into the afterlife so that they can't come back and they can rest peacefully. It's not all dark and dreary and gross. It's just a form of magic in that world, and she does her best to keep the evil at bay. And so we follow her along, and she meets a man, but the romance is such a subplot that I wouldn't go into it reading it for the romance. It's just a nice bonus. And then we've got The Red Palace by June Her. So this is a Korean historical fiction. And so we follow a daimyo, I think that's her title. And she helps an investigator at the time solve these grisly, brutal string of murders. And it gets kind of intense, but the romance, you wouldn't expect it. It's the kind that makes you squee and giggle and curl your toes. It was adorable. It was precious. It must be protected. But you find it in the midst of these terribly dark murders. It's funny, the juxtaposition. But June Her, according to her acknowledgments, she thanks God in the back of her book, so she might be a Christian, which is fantastic. But she's coming out with a book this month, May 26th, called Behind Five Willows, which is a Korean historical nod to Jane Austen. So it's going to be full-on romantic, I would think, based on the synopsis anyway. So that'll be sweet. I'm looking forward to that. That's all I'm going to talk about for me today. Thank you so much for joining me. And please like, subscribe, come back again, all the things. I hope you will have a wonderful day. Bye.